And it's back, so we're going straight into
working anyway. So you sure it's on? Because I don't want to waste my time. Time is precious.
Double check.
Yeah. Okay, so welcome to the first pilot. Would it be a pilot?
Test
pilot edition episode.
Landmark episode.
Landmark of law-abiding criticism.
I'm glad you remembered that because I honestly forgot what
that's
to call this.
Probably we will have a jingle. The jingle may change. It may stay the same.
Insert here.
Yeah, we have not got that sorted yet, but that's coming. There will be a jingle. I'm Webby, 49 years old, originally from England. Preston,
Australian, 29.
29, so...
A bit of time difference.
Do the maths. That is a 20-year age gap. And I've thought about this for a couple of weeks. We have absolutely nothing in common. But we were thrown together in a room full of people one day. Weirdly, we were kind of like the last of the Mohicans. And of all the people in the room, I would have thought would be sat on my sofa. This is not a studio. This is my house.
I know the production value might say different, but this is actual house. Yeah.
It is my home. Preston would probably not have been at the top of the list that I would have thought would have been sitting on my sofa 13 months later. The more I think about how much we have in common, the more I realise we don't have a lot in common. And that's why I think this may be interesting, because we come from different countries, very different backgrounds, very different upbringings. We probably only share the fact that we have a job, the same job in common. And yeah, the more I think about it, it's a weird thing, but very interesting one. And the one thing I think we do have in common is he makes me laugh, so which is unusual. Yeah, but he does make me laugh, and I like to make him laugh, and I think that's where we've kind of bonded. But other than that, yeah, nothing, no similar interests. We don't like the same movies. We don't like. He's a proper nerd. We don't have technology. He rides a one wheel. Weird. All the things that would make him not a mate. He ticks the boxes, but weirdly here he is. So.
Welcome back to the podcast. We're just roasting me for half an hour.
Oh no, yeah, I've got a bit more. Don't stop me. I'm on a roll.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are. So he came up with the idea.
Ideas man.
He is an ideas man, and he said, "Let's do something together." Because
So this stemmed from at work. We had a list going about. No, it was some meme, wasn't it?
I saw a meme.
Something on the internet about...
Movies, we would discuss movies. Music we don't really have in common. Games, as in like Xbox, PC, PlayStation games, we don't have in common.
Because I'm up here, he's still down here, but it's fine. I'll work on him, don't worry about it.
Yeah. So Preston plays games on a PC, but he uses a PlayStation controller.
Don't tell him that.
It's a big thing, I think.
I'll cut that out.
That'll get edited. Yeah, that will look weird. It would just stop me on you play games.
I'll be playing the theme song over this discussion right now.
Music, no. There's a lot of things. As you will see, there's a lot of things, and he's not for changing. You can't change him. He doesn't.
Stoic, some would say.
And I'm just me. But.
So the general thing was,
I saw a meme, for the great times of movies. We did always discuss movies.
About like was it a month or 1 year with 4 great bang movies?
It was just a month. It was just a month at a cinema with 4 great movies to watch on a cinema that only had 4 screens. And you would be happy to watch any of those movies. Yeah. You could have stayed there all day. And they were all classics. And if we had that meme, we'd show you it, but we don't.
We'll insert it over here. That's fine.
We'll try and find it.
I'm the tech guy.
What were any one of those movies?
It was 1980.
I can't remember it. I can't even remember what. Something like Predator, Aliens,
yeah.
something. It was like...
If you think 1980s or 1990 movies, whatever 4 you're thinking of, it was probably them, right? I'm saying
yeah.
So what
It was a great time to go to the cinema.
Yeah, and we ended up making a list of asking our colleagues, pick top 5 or name the best movies of the 80s and the 90s of the year.
Yeah.
We ended up progressing that a bit, and then one day I was just talking, you know what?
It became a great topic, and everyone had an input on it. Everyone in the office had an input of what their favourite movies of that era were, and it was a good discussion piece, and it was funny because people would mock people who hadn't seen certain movies and they couldn't understand it.
Look at an exclusive club. Like, you haven't seen this
and
movie?
then some randoms would throw in Beetlejuice and they'd go, I don't think it ticks the...
we'll talk about that. That might be a later episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as lifelong consumers of content, we've decided to share our conversations with the broader audience, hopefully make it a bit funny as well, and yeah, criticise content whilst never actually contributing anything to the populace as well. But like I said, as lifelong consumers of content, I'm pretty sure we know what's good and what's bad, so yeah, that's what we're going to do.
And we moved on from just movies in the 80s, we went to movies in the 90s, then we talked about gaming, then we talked about music, then we talked about books that we'd read or not read, and obviously our tastes are very different in books, and it became very interesting how people view different things, and we were like, well, if I read a chapter and you read a chapter of the same book, would we perceive it the same way? What does your mind create about a character, or what do you take from a movie, what do you take from an album? It's not fashionable anymore to listen to an album from start to finish, so let's do that. Let's listen to an album from start to finish and see why they chose the order of songs that they did, what did we enjoy, why was it so popular, why wasn't it? So, yeah.
So the general idea is every episode we'll be talking about either an album that we listened to throughout the week, a movie that we watched throughout the week, current game that we're playing, or a book that we've both read, or something like that. That's the general idea of the podcast here, just to have some discussion. We're going to try and stay away from the mainstream latest news, because there's 1,000 other podcasts who are better than us at doing that. So we're going to try and stick with the, movie-wise at least, the forgotten gems or stuff that's not really talked about as much. That's basically the general concept of the podcast, I'd say. Also, just having a bit of fun and, as you've seen, roasting me for half hour. We'll actually get into it.
Or I introduced Preston to something that was massive to me when I was his age, and he will introduce something to me that I probably wouldn't pick up on at 49, such as riding a one-wheel. But that won't ever happen.
No, mate, 1,000 subscriber special.
Yeah, well, it would have to be. And we're quite prepared to be sponsored by anyone. We have no morals, and we'll take any sponsorship on offer.
Take
anything. Yeah.
Room for the money. No.
Makeup on animals forever.
Love it.
Yeah, I love it.
Add more.
A bunny with lipstick and some eyebrows stuff. Love it. Yeah.
Come at me, Peter.
Yeah.
Peter? RSPCA?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So that's the general consensus of the podcast, where the ideas stem from. Any productions, profits will be split 60-40.
60-40, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Although it's my Matchbox currently holding the camera in place. So, we might have to negotiate that. I'll speak to my agent.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, the next frame might be a bit different because the Matchbox might fall. So
yeah.
We'll work on that.
Or I might forget and throw it away.
Alright, so
what was this week's challenge?
First episode, landmark episode.
I laid down both the
movie and the album.
Yeah.
So we'll introduce the first segment, which will be... We'll do the album first?
Yeah, let's do the album.
We'll do the album first.
Which is quite topical, even though Preston did just say that we won't be doing topical issues, but it is...
topical. So cue the theme song for the segment about reviewing albums. Go. Hey! Alright, it's a bit generic, but...
Yeah.
Copyright. So, what was it?
It is Definitely Maybe by Oasis. That was recorded released 30 years ago. I was a very young and naive 19-year-old and absolutely loved it, as did all of my people around me. It was massive. Their debut album, early 90s.
Was that their first album?
First album.
Cool. So
First album, I mean, yeah.
you may or may not know this, but Webby is the conduit for Oasis representation.
I am,
in
yeah,
Australia.
I am. So
Probably seen a bit back here, maybe, if not on some other shelves, but
yeah,
so
I
anything
am.
Oasis goes
Networth
through.
'96. I was there in the musical trenches on the Sunday. I didn't go the Saturday. I did go to the Sunday. Can't quite remember how I got my ticket, but I do remember who I went with, how I got there, and the bands that I saw. Didn't quite realise at the time how massive it was until many years later when they talked about all the people that had put in for tickets and never got them, and how lucky I was because I didn't do anything to get my ticket. I think I got a phone call and someone invited me and I went the next day. So yeah, it was...
musically speaking then, Oasis, again, a bit before my time. My touch...
Well, you weren't even born.
Yeah, way before my time. My touchstone for Oasis was the one song they had. Was it?
I don't know, because one song and they've had... That's the...
Wonderwall.
Yeah,
That's them, isn't it?
Yeah, it is them.
So that's the one song I knew from them, but that's also because movies, and that's like the one song everyone plays when they're sitting around a campfire.
Yeah, still can't play it. It's only 3 chords.
Yeah, not a massive Oasis fan. That's the one song I hardly knew. Before this week, I never went out and sought out and typed in an Oasis song to hear. So you're telling me that it's definitely maybe was their first album.
First album.
So do you know if that was like an underground roots album, or was that like they'd gone to a proper studio and they that was like their big album? So what's the story behind that, if you know that?
So they were signed by Creation Records, Alan McGee, who saw them at the Boardwalk in Scotland. He wasn't meant to be there.
So is
he
this
got
like
these
pub gigs, or is this like still like...
Yeah, no, it was a lot. Yeah, it was pretty much a pub gig.
Okay.
They had turned up to play it, and they weren't on. Allegedly, they weren't on the set list, but they had turned up and kind of bullied their way onto the set list. And Alan McGee from Creation Records, who famously signed a lot of bands, including Primal Scream, he was there because he'd missed his train and he'd stayed an extra night in Scotland. So he'd watched them at the gig at the Boardwalk, and he'd signed him straight away. So they'd gone up there with nothing and came back with a record contract, albeit quite a slight record contract, but yeah, so they were signed.
So that's literally like their first
in
the studio with a bit of money.
Although they went, I think they recorded it once and it wasn't how they wanted it to be, so they didn't release it. And I think they took a few attempts at recording it until they got the sound that they wanted, and then the album got released and it smashed everything. I can't remember what the first song they released off the album was. Off the top of my head, I should have made some notes. But
so, do you have your phone open? Maybe we can read off that. So, do you want to listen? So, you sent me the album to listen to for this recording. So, I listened to Definitely Maybe.
Yeah.
My first initial listen was I was driving. So, I think it was like an hour and a half drive. So, I managed to listen to the album in one sitting.
Yeah.
Through my car speakers. Initially.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you the song titles because I didn't spend that much time with them. But the first sort of chord from the guitar and the first song, how it starts.
Well, the first song, I know the first song.
That's how, like, as soon as I heard that first drum of the guitar, I was like, okay.
Rock and roll style.
Yeah.
Which still, now, 30 years on, puts hairs on the back of my neck.
That's what I'm thinking. As soon as you heard it, that sets the tone from that initial, I'm like, oh, let's go. From there, my listening experience was them listen to it through headphones throughout the week as well. And probably going to disappoint you here, but...
Well, I don't really often disappoint me, so I expect nothing less. Go on.
It's not, don't get me wrong, it wasn't bad. The last song was probably my favourite.
Which was the last song?
Slower... what was it, like the slower...
Goodbye, I'm Going Home.
Goodbye, I'm Going Home. The slower song. That was my favourite.
No.
Because if you ask me, even after I listened to the whole album in one sitting, there was no memorable moments, as in like musically there wasn't like for me just a build up, or there wasn't any like cool riffs or anything. So there wasn't any hook, if that makes sense for me. Apart from the first guitar strum or the very first song, like fuck yeah, let's go, and then the last song itself in its entirety was good.
Really?
Yeah.
See, for me, loving the album and always having loved the album and having great memories of the album, I was always disappointed because half of the next album Noel had already written, which is also a great album. In fact, the first 1, 2 and 3 albums is how I'd rate their top 3 albums, would be 1, 2 and 3. Might be number 3 might be an unpopular opinion among some people, but I really love number 3. But yeah, apparently he'd written most of the second album when they'd recorded the first album, which always annoyed me a little bit because Diggs' Dinner, where they talk about having lasagna, and that last one that you like, for me, were like album...
I'm Going Home, whatever it was.
Yeah, Goodbye, I'm Going Home, and whatever. To me, they were like just fillers. They weren't great songs.
Like generic...
So, well, they were just like, well, if we needed 10 songs for an album, well, I've got 8 great songs, I'll just quickly write 2 others and throw them in.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I knew. I was never a big fan of those. Yeah.
So
your music shite, you keep me up all night. You know, like...
So this might
Well, that's the one you like. Your music shite, you keep me up all good night, goodbye, I'm going home. That's just like... And then you go on to the next album, which is packed full of... And Oasis are famous for B-sides, which were fantastic.
Okay.
The B-sides on their releases were like... Even Noel admits now he threw away some great songs onto B-sides. Acquiesce and The Master Plan and stuff like that were incredible.
This might be a reoccurring theme to any of the older albums that we decide to listen to, but I think maybe it's my goldfish brain or some sort of level of ADHD, or just growing up in a more modern, fast-paced musical era where the type of music I've shown you before, the heavier, sort of faster beat music, it's sort of, once you've hit that peak, and it's sort of, well, I'm not going to say boring, but listening to older music, it's almost...
It's funny how you describe it as older music to me.
Well, it is older music, even...
But do you listen to it and think this is old music?
Yes, but not in the production. It still sounds great. The quality's still there. If anything, it sounds better because it's still...
So what makes it sound old?
Just like, I think it's more...
Lyrics and melody?
Not even the lyrics. It's more of like the tempo. It's the actual... the speed, the cadence of it. Again, production-wise, it still sounds good. So it sounds like they're actually still playing, having fun with the boys on stage, but good quality to it. Lyrics are good. The quality is good. Oasis, obviously... For me, one of the their sort of key signatures is that sort of
Beatlesque.
Well, more of the vocal sort of harmony, echoey.
Okay.
Like that's, you know, like to me that would be like a Oasis thing. That vocal, using the harmony as an instrument. As
all right. So what would you liken that to?
In what way?
Well, who else sounds like them? Do you think they're unique sounding?
I think...
So if I played you any song now, and you would go, oh, that's Oasis, would you know?
I think I would, but again, haven't dabbled...
That's about an 8-album challenge.
Well, I haven't dabbled into that sort of that music type, but for me...
And what do you think that music type is?
Very sort of...
British rock?
British rock, yeah.
Okay.
But it's just that vocals themselves. So using the vocals as an instrument, as a harmony, having that like little echoey reverb to it as well.
Well, Noel quite famously.
But is he a good singer?
Is Noel a good singer,
Yeah.
or Liam sings the majority of the songs?
Well, any of them, whoever's the lead singer.
Well, Liam is the lead singer.
And are they good live? You've seen them live. Are they good? Were they good live?
Yeah.
Like the same. Do they sound the same live as they did on studio?
Well, my experience is that that album
got drunk on
life. Yeah.
Back in the trenches.
Yeah, back in the musical trenches. So yeah, the first time I saw him was at Networth, so I was very spoiled. But it was a massive gig, you know. So since then, I have seen Noel twice with the High Flying Birds, and I've seen Liam once on his own in Frio. Yeah, and still brilliant. Like, still brilliant.
Still got that control. So still professional musicians.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me about the reunion because that's a different matter.
Well,
but also still very topical.
Very topical.
But not for me.
Because it...
As you said, I am the conduit for...
Everything Oasis goes...
Annoyingly now people are going to start having their hair cut like this, and I've been doing it for years, and then people are going to look at me and go, this is what my hairdresser said to me when she cut my hair the other day, or someone rang and said, your client will be happy they're back together. So even that, yeah, seriously. Yeah. And everyone will think, oh, you've just done that bit. And I went, no, I've been rocking it for years. I am a trooper. I'm a soldier. I am not. I don't give up. Like, this is my look, and I'll continue it. You know. So I'm annoyed now.
You're
other
not
people
the wave, mate. You're at the front. That's what
but other people will be jumping on it. Whereas I've been through the wilderness years where people were getting fades and looking at me gone out, and I'm keeping it real.
Got the burns happening still.
Yeah.
Flapping in the wind.
Yeah.
Strong breeze.
Yeah, annoying, hey? That's annoying. I don't want it to come back. I don't want the reunion. I'll say it now, I don't want the reunion.
Are they just playing their classics or are they actually making new music?
Well, I have a theory on all of this because Liam has always said he wanted to get back to...
New segment for the podcast, Webby's Theories. Go on.
Webby's Theories. Webby's Theories.
Same.
That's all I got. I'm not. I can do theories. I can't do jingles.
We'll think of something. We'll workshop it.
We'll workshop that.
Theory time with Webby. That's a good one.
All right. I don't. Liam has always wanted to get back together, and at the start of the breakup, he needed to get back together, and then they did BDI, and BDI did 2 great albums, and I loved them, and I thought Liam and BDI, Gem Archer, Andy Sharrock on drums, Andy Bell, it was basically Oasis without Noel, became BDI, and BDI is brilliant. I love both their albums, really, really good. I loved everything about it. I've loved Noel's High Flying Birds, 4 or 5 #1 albums, including the greatest hits. Noel, brilliant. Noel's albums, absolutely fantastic, and Liam's done 3 solo albums and they have been brilliant, and so they've never been more successful on their own. I don't know why they're coming back together, and it clearly is all for money. The Ticketek thing where the prices just went up and up and up with demand, and people are paying silly money to see these people. They haven't done a press conference together. They have not been seen together. There is a photo that's been released of the 2 of them together. That could well be photoshopped. Each of them could have walked into a studio and had their photo taken. If they're friends again and they're back together, brilliant. Why don't they just sit down in front of a camera like the Stone Roses did when they reformed, and the 4 of them sat on together, did a press conference and said, yeah, we're back. And it was literally all for money. We're back. It's for money. We'll do. But at least the Stone Roses recorded 2 new songs, went into a studio, produced something. The songs, not for me. But at least they did something. The Oasis have not actually said they're going to do anything. There's no talk of a new album. If you really want to get back together, and it's 100% genuine, and it's not for the multi-millions that they're going to make out of it, do a press conference, say you've settled your differences, hold hands, have a hug, have a kiss, and then go, right, name who's going to be back in the band. We pretty much know it will be the last ones that were in Oasis anyway, the last lineup: Gem, Andy Bell, Chris Sharrock, Bonehead, and then just go and make some more music, and then go and smash it out. Release an album, go and smash a tour out. Don't play your greatest hits. It's just, and like you say, people, you got 20-year-old females who've heard Wonderwall twice who are getting tickets, and then you've got people like me who are in the trenches who can't get a ticket. But unlike me, I don't think I want a ticket because I think it would ruin it. I think I'm happy with the memories. Because the famous part of it, and even Noel didn't realise this, they went from signing on and playing to 20 people within 2 years, 24 months, to playing Nebworth in 2 years. And even when someone pointed that out to Noel when they were making the documentary on it, even Noel went, well, that can't be right. Like a meteoric rise.
Yeah.
Like, and if I'm honest, and this may be against popular opinion as well, when Noel walked out of the gig in France, when everyone was even in the audience, and they had the big bus stop, they were not as popular. You know, Noel saw that. Noel saw that their popularity was waning. Their albums after the first 3, they weren't as massive as they were. Noel saw that.
How many albums did they like? So the first 3 were the ones you talked about before.
Yeah.
And then how many albums have they got then?
At least another 4. Don't make me name them because I won't.
That's
off the top of
fine.
my head, but yeah, at
So
least another 4.
How long were they like? Would you say they were like big for then? Like big.
94. Well, 94 to 09.
09?
Yeah. So they quit in 09 when Noel walked off the stage in France. Well, they didn't get to the stage. Backstage, they had a big to do.
That's weird you say that because I would have thought they would done and dusted before.
Oh, no.
Before 94. When did they start? 94?
94 definitely maybe came out.
So I was born. Probably.
Well, that's when the album came out.
Oh, true.
That's the debut album.
Wow, see, I'm thinking these are guys that are way before me.
No. So if you think about it, 94 to 2009, and then released a lot of albums, and they went on massive tours, like year-long world tours and all that. But yeah, when they famously quit in 2009, was like they had filled a stadium or a gig there in France. They had a massive bus stop, and Noel left the gig.
I'm trying to remember if I remembered anything from like being on the news or something, but I don't think
It was big news at the time.
Yeah. That's interesting. But what about? We'll bring it back to the album itself then. Definitely.
Yeah, go on.
So, do you have a highlight on the album?
For me, the opening track, Rock and Roll Star.
Yeah. Because again,
but everything was. You've got to remember as well that they were writing that from a place of they were on the dole, they lived on a council estate, they were scallies to a degree. You know, their mates were scallies, and every song was, feeling supersonic, drinking gin and tonic. Everything was raw and honest, and they had no. And Noel famously said that when he was writing, I think the 3rd album, he was sat on an island at the end of a runway with his guitar, of a private runway, with his missus and Johnny Depp and Kate Moss when they were dating. And the 4 of them had gone on holiday to a private island. And now he's sat there, and the record company are saying to him, come on, Noel, we need a 3rd album. You've had the advance, write me a 3rd album. And he's got a kind of write in the style of the 1st and 2nd album, where he's talking about shit upbringings,
doing gritty stuff and stuff like that.
Claiming the dole.
And now he's got a little
cigarettes and alcohol means everything, and now he's sitting on a private island on the end of a runway trying to recreate, and now he's worth $1 squillion.
Yeah, trying to be authentic, but still
trying to reach the masses who are still in the shit.
Not really grassroots, are you?
Who are still claiming the dole and loving cigarettes and alcohol and living for every weekend to be a rock and roll star.
I did see something, obviously because I was searching them up for the listening for the week. The algorithm got me and sent me heaps of Oasis stuff. There was a short video I saw about them. I don't know which one it was. One of the singers, one of the blokes from Oasis, one of the big ones, talking about.
Well, there's only 2. There's 2 brothers
talking about Nirvana.
Yeah.
And the interview was something along the lines of like
them wanting to die.
Yeah, Nirvana just came out. Well, they were coming to UK singing their song about like killing himself or
Yeah.
dying, and then the guy was
And
like,
they were the anti.
he's like, I don't want that. Like,
That's Noel.
yeah,
That's
he's
Noel.
like, I respect him as a person, but like, don't bring that stuff over here.
Well, that's why they released Live Forever.
So that's why I saw that video. And I was like, I respect
Live
that.
Forever is the antithesis of that
It's not your
grunge. The grunge coming out of America, and they were going.
Fuck
Well, they
yeah.
couldn't understand while Nirvana had all this money and all this fame and all this popularity and had everything at their feet, but they were miserable and wanted to be like junkies. And whereas they were like, well, we'll eat that for breakfast. We want that every day. We want it, if we get that fame and popularity and money, we want to live forever.
100%. We want to keep going.
Yeah.
It's that's how I saw that and was like, that is a bit different now when you think about like UK versus like USA and all stuff. Like, in my mind, for some reason, don't hate me for this, but for some reason, whenever I think like old, like British rock, whatever, I just think like drugs, heroin, and just dark and gloomy stuff. But that's probably movies, like movies about old actors and.
Well, there was a lot of heroin.
Don't get me wrong, but
in the Britpop movement, but
were they Oasis sort
no.
of not a positive like?
Oh God, no!
Vibe, but more not like a dark and twisted vibe either. It was more.
They were just like
rockers.
They were just lads. They were lads that picked up instruments. They were very much like the Beatles. They were the Beatles of the 90s. So the Beatles, with their popularity in the 60s, was that everyone could relate to them. Everyone knew someone like one of the members of the band, whether it be Ringo, John, Paul, or George. Everyone knew someone like they were relatable. They were your boys next door. And everybody who worked in a factory or was an apprentice or was a bricklayer, or you worked hard all week and then you partied at the weekend.
Yeah,
because
right.
but that was very much the 90s. The 90s was very much, and I think it's a British thing anyway. It's football fashion music, and then throw some drugs in on top of it. But because that's what it's about. Your team plays on a Saturday. You watch your team. You go out on a Friday, Saturday night. You dress up. You might get drunk. You might do a line. You might drop a pill. It's all. And then Sunday you're drinking beers and knocking around with your mates, and Monday you're back to work. But you work and you get paid. You got paid weekly. Thursday was Thursday was the start of the weekend. Everyone come out on a Thursday, and then you planned your weekend. It was they were the.
It was a lifestyle they got that.
They were the whatever the word is. They were the antithesis of that. They were that. They were
having fun.
And if they could do it, anyone could do it. It was that. It was inspiring. They weren't your art school, uni, synthesizer.
Didn't study. Music,
they came from nothing. They had a bad dad. They had a great mum. They did it.
Relatable. I think.
100% relatable, and they said what everybody wanted to hear. They sung what everybody wanted to hear.
Like I said, the first song was called, was it Rock and Roll Star?
Yeah.
Again, it's funny because when I heard the first drum, I was like, hey, this is rock and roll. And then read the title, I'm like, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. Yeah.
And for me, Liam is without a doubt the last rock and roll star. And even Noel says it. No one wears a Parker like him. No one looks as cool as him. Noel might write the songs, and Noel's he tells funny stories. Both of them have got a quick mind. They're both very funny. Liam's done whatever he's done in the past, and very honest, very impulsive, and says and does things, and probably doesn't think it through. But whereas Noel does. Noel's obviously the brains behind it, but you can't fault their honesty, and that shows through.
Again, I guess that approachable, relatable sense, isn't it?
And the funny thing was, there was so many bands came out in the 90s, and so many bands either before them or after them that tried to recreate them, and they'd release one great album and everyone would jump on it because it's raw and it's new, and your first album should always be your best, and in my opinion, and then they would develop a drug habit because you had to, and then you would go into rehab and you'd have a famous. You'd go into rehab,
Yeah,
you know, and then I'll be recovering. And Noel and Liam, because they were from that area, they were like they never went into rehab. You know, they were like you don't go. You know, it's part of what we do. You don't go in. If you want to put cocaine on your cornflakes, just do it. But you don't go in rehab afterwards. You just get over it, or you continue it. And they're both still alive, so. And Noel famously says when he decided he didn't want it anymore, you know, he knocked it on the head, and I'm not sure whether Liam has completely knocked it on the head, but it hasn't done him any harm. And he's still a legend, you know. He's
got lots of money too.
Yeah. Alright, so
Let me sit down first.
we haven't really discussed the album, although one of my least favourite songs on there you decided is your favourite, which is brilliant. Overall, if you had to rate it out of 10, what would you give it? Did it blow your mind?
So I was thinking about if we're going to be doing some sort of rating scale.
Yeah.
We'll have to come up with one that's hard to rate something, not rating anything else. We'll have to come up with the categories of rating, as in, like, what's
wrong with 1 to 10?
Well, what is it? What is a 1? What is a 10?
Well, 1 is rubbish, 10 is brilliant. I think that's the age-old 1 to 10, isn't it? I mean, you can go like 0 to 100, but I think it's still the same.
So, alright.
Did you enjoy that album? Why are we making it harder than it needs to be? Did you enjoy the album? Would you play it again? Do you understand? Can you get your head around why it would be so important to people?
Here's the thing. I completely appreciate it would, like, how back when the world was a smaller place, how it would have been more important and how it would have actually been like a thing. But given the area we live in now with these...
Alright, now it's aged 30 years and you've listened to it for the first time, almost on its 30-year anniversary.
It sounds great. Production-wise, it sounds great.
Yeah.
There's still good songs.
Yeah.
If they came up on a shuffle playlist, I wouldn't skip them. However, I wouldn't go searching for them, if that makes sense.
Would it make...
There's no memorable thing for me to go back to.
It's weird, eh? Because...
There's no... You know, like certain
would
songs...
it not make you... Does it not... Do you think listening to it at 29... Do you think if you'd have listened to it at 19, it would have made a difference?
I don't think it's my age.
Because I listened to it at 19 and it blew my mind.
But what else was out at that time?
Well, it was a lot. Like, the 90s in the UK was amazing.
Do you know what I mean? Like, for me, it's more about everything else, the thousands of other bands.
Well, what blew your mind at 19 then? Bearing in mind it's only a decade ago.
Yeah, 19. Where was I? I couldn't tell you where I was.
I feel like it's going to be emo related with a massive fringe and it's just going to annoy me.
Honestly, yeah. As soon as I was thinking that, you said it. My head, your mouth, get out.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, just heavy, sort of screaming into a microphone.
Oh, no.
Feelings!
Nah. Nah.
But, yeah.
There's nothing rock and roll about that.
On a 1 to 10, 1 being trash, 10 being fuck yeah, I'd probably give it like... I'd give it a 5.
Ooh.
In the middle. No, sorry, I'll give it a 6. Way better. To me, and here's my justification for that. A 1, again, never listened to, can't believe you listened to it. You're an idiot for
Oh,
listening to
yeah.
that. 10, oh my god, this is great, it's added to the playlist. I didn't add it to the playlist. I don't remember anything from it apart from...
So you wouldn't want to listen to it again?
No, that's what I'm saying. I like the last song. I would listen to the last song again.
Weird. That is the song you chose off an album like that.
So I would listen to
me,
that
it's
again.
a filler.
Yeah, so it has to be.
And it's not a bad song. I mean, it's no Lasagna, which Diggs' Dinner. I don't know why you threw that. Liam Noel, if you're listening, I am your conduit in Australia. I've had a lot of phone calls about you getting back together. You know, I should be on at least 12%.
What barber do you go to?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I've been rock in the trenches, man.
But doesn't that say something? That the fact that I don't remember any of the other songs, or the only thing I remember is the one chord at the very beginning of the album. Like, there's no memorable bits to me. Usually...
Well, I don't know whether this is an Australian thing or a British thing, because there's people your age that are massive fans. There are people that... Or the people that are buying these tickets for these new gigs are not my age.
Yeah, but
they're a lot younger. They want to recreate what I had 30 years ago, which is amazing.
I think it's my Goldfish ADHD whatever.
Well, I also think
it's for me it's a tempo.
It's generational, and I think it is the fact that you're not English. Well, it's definitely a British thing.
What's the thing? Like, to me,
they won't touch. They will not have touched. There'll be. Well, I don't know for a fact there are 49-year-old Australians who would never have. And your music is rubbish. I live here. I love the weather. You're nice people, but your music is rubbish.
No, I agree with that.
Absolute trash. I am glad that I grew up where I grew up, listened to the music I grew up, and then came over here when I was 33 for the weather, and became more British by living over here than I ever was when I was over there. But I love, and I've embraced it. I don't, I'm not anti-Australian. Yeah. You've given me a lovely lifestyle, thank you.
I understand the importance of its time. I can appreciate it for what it is, but musically, it's just not for me. It's just a bit, the whole tempo is too slow for me.
Which is a personal taste thing, isn't it?
That is a bit. Yeah. Again, I like the more hard and fast stuff. So.
Next week we'll bring in another Preston who will enjoy it. He will be a male of nerdy appearance with a pair of glasses on. May not look like him. Just bring another Preston in. Every week we'll have another Preston. 60-40. So that's enough of definitely maybe. For me still.
What would you give the album 1 to 10? And I will hold you to this. I will hold you to this rating. This is our official
it's a 9.
Law-abiding criticism.
Yeah, it's a 9, man. It's a 9. It's one of those. It's in my top 5 albums. I won't disclose the top 5 yet, but
different episode.
Yeah, but it is in my top 5.
Right,
and I don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're all. It's got to be. I can't.
Yeah.
But
can you just give me one word or one sentence answers on? So the actual. I want to break your rating down into certain categories. So production, what do you give it? Like, just say shit or good.
Very good.
So the production, you like production.
Yeah.
The songs themselves.
Yeah, as I've said, two songs I never really got to grips with in such a great album were obviously Diggs' Dinner and the last song.
Bit more than a sentence, that's right.
Yeah. Well, it was a sentence.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say nostalgia rating. Are you giving it more because it's nostalgic?
Well, yeah.
Which is fine. That's a
probably, but
a reasonable thing to do as well.
It takes me back.
Cool.
And it is one of the few albums I listen to very regularly.
Okay, yeah. So you actually.
Yeah. So it would be on. In my.
Yeah. Okay. Like on your most,
when I'm in the gym, it's on. Yeah.
Okay. Weird flex.
No. It's there, man. It's a classic.
Yeah, that's good to know. Yeah. Okay.